Hey guys, if you're looking for help with your Amazon business in terms of troubleshooting or strategy, visit sellersessions.com/consultancy or drop me a message to danny@sellersessions.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Again, we bring back Liran. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Excellent. Cool. So today, being me, I tend to get everything land on me all at the same time. So in the space of a week, I had a bit of Hazmat, I had a performance inbound, which blocked the listing, and then a hijacker on the listing. So I thought I'd shoot the breeze and let off a little bit of steam with you, and then you can fill some gaps in between with some of the stuff that's been going on with you in a similar kind of frame. Mm-hmm. So Hazmat, have you had any problems in the past yourself with Hazmat?
I've had products that have shown up that it's Hazmat and you can't send it in, and Amazon asks for a safety data sheet on it.
Yeah.
So I have had to deal with it, but unfortunately not in a lot of my products, or haven't had a lot of issues around it.
Yeah. So I've got a product that doesn't fall under Hazmat, but what I did get was a Hazmat status notification. So when I first sent the shipment in on this new product, it asks you whether it's Hazmat, and then you say, no, it's not hazardous, etc. And then hopefully you put that to bed, yeah?
Yeah.
So it says here, Amazon performs regular reviews on products in our fulfillment centers that may be regulated as dangerous goods, also known as Hazmat. We conduct these reviews to help ensure that our shipments meet the requirements and safety standards for customers, employees, blah, blah, blah. Following one such review, the dangerous goods status of one or more of your products is changed. Please read the information below. So it goes and shows you a table below, and then you think, oh God, I'm in Hazmat hell. And then there's a help page that will take you through. So two things you need to do. And I was completely unaware of this until I spoke to someone in the mastermind group, because we sell in the same category. And said, have you had this flag before? He said, whatever you do, don't send in the date sheets. And I said, why? Because he said, all you need to do is complete an exemption form. And we walked through the exemption form together, and it took less than 2 to 3 minutes. But I've seen so many people have problems with this, because they assume, like, they go, oh, it's Hazmat. They contact their factory. Then they go and get these data sheets. Then what happens is Amazon's regulations now specify that it's got to be less than 5 years old, dated less than 5 years old, and there's 16 components on there that they need to check off. And most of these data sheets won't meet those requirements. And the funny thing is, nor did mine until I got them updated and paid, I think it's £120 for retest, and got some new sheets back. So now they're fully compliant with date sheets, but what I didn't want to do is have that stage in between where I submitted them. I would have submitted maybe out of date ones, or I would have asked Amazon questions. Then straight away, I'll go into the black hole of Hazmat, which I could disappear down the rabbit hole for the next 3 months. As it stood, I was able to complete the exemption form, found which one it was, related to my category, downloaded it. Took, as I said, 5 minutes to complete. They say it's 4 working days. There's no way of contacting them. So a little trick that I did was, I raised a ticket with support, because I noticed that if you submit these forms, you need to make damn sure, because you don't get a receipt that it got submitted. And some people save these files incorrectly, and they don't save the changes. So they send back the blank file to a department that doesn't have any way of contacting them. So I raised a ticket with Amazon Seller Support, our good friends, as you know, the high-end support crew. And basically I've just said in there, they said, oh no, there's a department for this, but I said, that's by the by. I'm submitting this because I wanted to make sure, as I don't get a receipt, that it's gone through. Could you follow up with the department? Now, whilst that was going on, Friday comes round, so I'm now taking out the game because of the Hazmat thing, and then I have a hijacker jump on the listing. So now I've got a hijacker on the listing. So now all the money that you spend on ranking, you've now got the hijacker jumped on. He's in the other section outside of the buy box. You know, when you see listing, so you're still ranked, and you look down, but there's no price on there, right? So he's in there. I remember speaking to you, because I haven't had to deal with hijackers for a while, to You've got a download. Do you want to let people know what the download is?
Yes, you can go to amazingfreedom.com/hijackers, and we found people asking us, a lot of times about how to deal with hijackers. So we just made this sort of like step by step of how we kind of deal with them, which is generally trying to be very aggressive and trying to get them off the listing.
Yeah. And so I looked at yours, but obviously this product's been sold in the UK, but your listing was perfect for the US, but maybe the language wasn't right for the UK. So I spoke to a guy in my mastermind, another guy, Ben, who's been on the show before, and he provided me some brilliant letters. There was 3-stage letters. He gave me a SOP, full breakdown of how he does it. And there's also a translated version in Mandarin as well.
Oh, wow.
So if you didn't, but not that our guy was a Chinese. They're actually based in Scotland, because when I looked up their business account, I went online and I reverse engineered their book, so I could actually see that this company was not a non-trading company and has what's called a CCJ against them. So, and then when he looked at the kind of listings that they have, it's obviously it's a software play that they had. Now, I didn't go to brand registry, but they was about as useful as a chocolate ashtray. But the letter did do the damage. So I did email the guy, and he responded. He's very vague. So basically the play was that the product I'd done a test buy. It cost me 3 times the value of the product plus the shipping, and he was very vague with the delivery dates. But as soon as I put that letter in, within 16 to 18 hours, he was off the listing. So that was good.
Right. And people have a misconception that brand registry protects you from that.
Yeah.
And brand registry does not protect you from it, and brand registry protects you from trademark or copyright infringement. But if somebody jumps on your listing and if they have the legitimate your product, Amazon doesn't want to be in the business of policing, who's on the listing. So people think
Amazon call it the control of distribution, because they see that as a form of abuse as well. People have been suspended for that, because there's that misconception about brand gating as well. There's very limited people that do get brand gated.
Yes. Yeah. There was a period maybe like a couple of years ago where there was some, issues with counterfeits, and Amazon sort of auto-gated some brands and did some brand gating, but not really much, since then. And brand registry does not help you get hijackers off your listing. Yeah.
So then what happened after that? So bearing in mind, we got the first one was we had to deal with the hazmat. Got that underway. Next day, we dealt with the hijacker. Obviously, run around and dealt with that. And then I woke up one morning to action required inbound performance alert. So, greetings from Amazon Services. We're writing to inform you temporarily blocked your ability to sell ACE blah, blah, blah to Amazon fulfillment centers due to multiple problems that we found with your product during inbound process. As part of the inbound performance feedback program, we will not be able to send this ACE into FBA until you acknowledge the problem. So this one isn't such a big thing, but from my understanding, this is quite a new system that they're put into place. And what they've done is they included images. So it was a simple a point of reference there. We could correct this, and basically they show pictures. And all it was is that at the 3PL, that someone new must have been working at the company, because they stuck the labels around the wrong way on the external cartons. So when someone slashed through the boxes to open up the lids, they've gone straight through the barcode.
Yes, yeah. So definitely don't want to put your labels across the middle of the of the boxes. I've had that also before with the inbound performance, and sometimes when I want to challenge them on it, if I don't agree with them, you can have them do an investigation, and then they'll come back sometimes and say that no, you're right, we made a mistake. But yeah, that one I found, once you acknowledge it, it kind of goes away.
Yeah, I did that with, I think it's called a rescan. Rescan the bins is the code word. Friend Rob, again, in my mastermind, he uses that quite a lot. And he led me onto that. When they've got miscounts going in on your shipment, and you want to qualify them, or there's some issues, then raise a ticket to get to the FBA team, and then you can request a rescan. And quite often they balance out the numbers that way.
Right. So so you got everything resolved.
Yeah. Finally,
All,
but it's just funny. It's like you get that across different ASINs, but all of that happened within a series of a few days. So you always, get up one day, resolve one thing. It's like that constant putting out fires, but it's obviously on a single ASIN that's been that was launched, only in the last couple of months. So, how's your week been? Have you got anything to report?
Yeah, so it's been good. Talked to you earlier about a launch I recently did. So I'd like to we'll come back and talk about the results of that launch. It's a 1-day launch. I'm waiting to see what the results are like from that for two new products. So that should be interesting to see. There's a lot of talk about what's working in terms of launches these days. So I know you're also experimenting with that. So with the launch, so it should be interesting to see the next few days where the ranks are. And then I've seen the training. We can kind of. I'd like to get your opinion on this. I've seen a training that somebody teaching to say you should do email append. And if you email the customers one by one from like a Gmail, then it's not against like the Can Spam Act or anything because you're not mass emailing. And basically the strategy is, email append and email the customers, your customers from Amazon. And then eventually basically either ask them for a review first, or if not, just offer them a promotion and get them to opt in to a coupon and really get them on a list.
So you're talking about So from my understanding, we're taking the data of Amazon customers.
Yes.
From your Seller Central account, then we're matching their addresses. We're taking that information and matching the addresses of Amazon's customers to emails, and then we're using a Gmail account, for instance, or branded email, to mail them individually.
One by one. And apparently that doesn't violate, like, they're your customer, apparently, right? So, and it doesn't violate any spam laws because you're not mass emailing.
What about outside of the US, like in the EU, and you've got GDPR, and you're contacting Amazon customers? That's cold calling in effect.
Well, right. So I guess the question is, since they bought a product from you and they're your customer, do you have the right to email them?
I think that is a tricky area. It might be different in the US, but I think under GDPR, that'll be a difficult one because it depends on what the first part is we're meant to realize that they're Amazon's customers. The second part is Amazon don't give you their email address because they don't want you to contact them, right? They used to be available at one point, some email addresses and phone numbers, but that's been stripped back over the years, right? I'm not saying most recently. So there was a reason why they would have taken all that stuff away for us to go and then append and then do it outside the Amazon system and then asking for a review. I think there's a lot of holes in that strategy in terms of service. I'm not saying that people wouldn't do it, and if they're clever, they'll get away with it.
Right. So the question is, I agree, it's definitely 100% against Amazon terms of service.
Yeah.
But is it against the law, right? So, like, in general, is it against the spam laws? So haven't done it yet, but that's something I've seen, like, some training on and contemplating if it's worth the risk, which the risk would be an Amazon customer would complain to Amazon, right? Or your competitor, is on your has bought a product from you, and you end up.
I don't know what the laws would. There's a Can Spam law, Act in the US. You can read that up. It's only like 2 paragraphs. But you're in a whole heap of pain for GDPR in the UK unless you nail it 100%. Because firstly, is that how did you come across the information? Because I haven't read up on the GDPR much recently, other when we set it up, but we're super compliant with GDPR for Databril, right? And we're a European company UK company dealing with European companies, UK and like US. So it's super important, like how you collect and manage data is very, very important. But I think if you read the GDPR, that you need to have a means and reason to contact them. And often as well is that customers can ask you, how did you come across the information? And there's a certain protocol in place where you have to explain yourself where you got the information from, and you have to provide that information to the customer. They request it,
So that brings up a good point, right? So how about in Europe with doing, Facebook custom audience, right? So taking the names and addresses of your Amazon customers and uploading that to Facebook as a custom audience, does that violate GDPR?
I think what you got to look at is all about consent. Did you get prior to consent to message these people? No. Yeah. Whatever you do, right. If you take someone's email address through a means of pending, that's circumventing them giving them to you. You're using the system. All right, it's in the public domain, but you're picking it up from one area and bringing it into your area, aren't you?
Right.
So I think everything's going to come down to that aspect of it. You're not going to get around. It's about permission and consent. I think that's why the GDPR was introduced. I don't know how tough people have been with GDPR.
Right.
I'm sure there's plenty of people out there still spamming.
Right.
But I think it's like anything. It's like when people are doing, some people are against friends and family reviews. Some are with it, I know that you use the exclusive program, so you haven't got to worry about that.
That was that was like a one-time Vine program thing. But I don't have access to that. That was a one-time program, but so that's interesting. Yeah, I would want to know, like, are people in Europe using Facebook custom audiences?
They are.
They are.
Yeah, they are. But I don't think I think they're underground with it. They're not really. Yeah.
Right.
They're not necessarily GDPR compliant for what they do as a business either. They may not even be registered under the GDPR.
Right. Right. So, so it'll be interesting to see, one, if we try this in the US, and two, what the results are of sending out emails one by one, to email Append customers. So we'll see. The goal essentially is to try to really get them on your list, right? Yeah. So to send something and then have a link that says, hey, save 20% on your next order, whatever, and then really get them to opt in to a real list. So
cool. Excellent. Well, look, let's wrap that there. What's the best way anyone can reach you?
So you can reach me on Facebook, Liran Hirschkorn. You can find me or email me, liran@amazingfreedom.com.
Excellent. Guys, thanks for joining us. Liran, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys again in a few days' time. Take care.